Forget about all of the polls for a minute and just consider the possibility that jobless numbers may be one of the better barometers on whether or not someone can get re-elected. And let's look at a lot of presidents going back many decades here just in their re-election bids. And I'll show you something very interesting. In almost every case, the truth is, if the numbers are moving in their favor in terms of jobs, they get reelected. If they're not, it's not true. Look, Dwight Eisenhower over here, 1956. Unemployment was moving down. It was at 3.9%. He was reelected. 1964. This was Johnson over here. He was reelected. Unemployment moving down at 5.1. 1972. Nixon, reelected, moving down. Ford, defeated. It was moving down, but remember, he's a special case because we were coming out of the Nixon years. That was a little bit different. You get into Carter. Unemployment was moving up. He was defeated. You get into Reagan. Unemployment moving back down again. He was reelected. You go to Bush. It was moving up. He was defeated. Clinton moving down, reelected. Bush moving down, reelected. And something I think that's important to note here is that this is a relative thing. These are fairly big numbers here, certainly compared to like 3.9% over here with Eisenhower. And yet, because the trend line was moving their direction, they were reelected. So, what does that mean to President Obama? Well, let's look at the trend line in his case. He came into office, and unemployment was already coming up before this point when he took office. But then look what happened after he took office. That trend line just kept soaring, and it's gone way up here to the 9-10% level, and it's pretty much just stayed there the whole time. This is a very difficult thing for any sitting president to deal with. It's not just the number of 9%. As I said, it's a relative sort of thing. Let's move him aside and look at Ronald Reagan for a moment. Ronald Reagan also had terrible numbers at one point. Look at this. Soaring up, 10%, almost 11%. But before he had to be reelected, look what happened. It fell, and the trend line for America looked positive. So the question is, does the trend line hurt President Obama? The numbers would suggest it probably does at this point. Can he triangulate it by hitting certain key states? Maybe, but even there the problem seems difficult. Look at some of these big numbers in key states, and more importantly, look at the trend line. Iowa, 6%, that's not bad, but it's moving up. Here is somewhere it's moving down. Minnesota is promising because it's moving down and it's a small number. But look at Michigan. There it's moving down, but gosh, the numbers are terrible. It's still 10.5% now, and what did it move down from? 11.3%. Take all of those numbers, look at those in unemployment, and push the polls aside, and you can see why President Obama has a big challenge on his hands.